Hello there, welcome to this video, which I certainly hope does well in the algorithm because the last one flopped really bad. Anyways, in today's video we are playing what I believe to be the worst Sonic Lost prototype game. If you do not know, currently there's a somewhat common trend regarding Sonic.exe fan games where they're called lost prototypes, or lost build, or lost demo. Is it a little clickbaity to say worst prototype and not worst Sonic.exe lost prototype fan game? Yes, but I'll let you guess if I care about that. Anyways, back to this apparent new trend that has suddenly started popping up. You may be asking, why does this trend exist? And to answer that, I do not know. Honestly, I wish it hadn't appeared in the first place because most of these lost version games are really bad at trying to, be a lost version of said game. There may be a rare exception out there somewhere, but I have not found any that get anywhere remotely close to being a good lost prototype. Anyways, the reason why we're playing this one in particular is I think this one in particular takes the cake, considering, and this is from the screenshots alone, the game uses Sonic 3 sprites and this weird stage select screen. And also, the comments are mixed. Some are positive, some are in between, and then there are a few or so that are definitely negative. Before you ask, yes, this is one of the many Sonic.exe games made for the Luigi Kid EXE Challenge, a challenge run by the annoying and cringy YouTuber Luigi Kid. So, with all of this previous information out of the way, let's actually see what this game contains. Before we can open up the game, a mysterious file appears, and once clicking on it, this weird screen appears. I wonder if this serves any use at all during this game. Anyways, opening up the game, you get some screens, and after pressing Z on this screen, the title screen appears with a very sad Sonic looking away from you. Then, you get sent into this custom menu screen, which does not look like anything that would have ever been in Sonic 2. Hell, the closest thing to a menu screen are these! Anyways, once you press enter, the screen glitches, and after waiting 40 seconds for Emerald Hill to load, it does, with an unrealistic titles card zooming past the screen. Gee, I wonder if incredibly long loading times will appear again during this game. After you beat this weird version of Emerald Hill Zone, you get told to watch your back. I wonder if this hint will serve any use at all during this game. Then, you're sent to Chemical Plant Zone, which also has this weird music and graphics issue, except this time with Sonic.Back making his grand appearance. Once you enter through this tunnel thing, or whatever it's called, this happens. As you're running through this part of Chemical Plant Zone, the screen slowly starts to get whiter and whiter, with a message appearing comparing Sonic to old food once the screen is fully white. After figuring out that pressing Z lowers the brightness of this screen, something which no one would have ever figured out without brute force, Casino Night Zone begins. If you go down the lower route of this first pinball machine, you'll encounter Sonic.Back and die. However, going towards the higher route, then this 1 minute long cutscene happens. Which loads us into, surprisingly, Underground Zone from the original Sonic 2. Then, this happens. And if you're curious, this transition to the next scene takes around 30 seconds, as the developer must think that it is very fun to stare at a blank screen for that long. With Sonic dead, we now play as Knuckles. Isn't this supposed to be a Lost Sonic 2 prototype? At this point, I don't even think the game is trying to hide. It's just a lazy attempt at making a creepy Lost prototype. And yes, it's lazy. Literally all of the levels just use the original map designs. While that may work with zones like Emerald Hill and Casino Night, it definitely does not work for this zone. Especially when the water from the map has been drained and several parts of the map have been just straight up removed, making it a harder, longer, and less fun experience. I'm going to be completely honest and say that I died here several times, which only made me angrier as the map design is completely horrendous, with spikes covering the worst possible spots. If the map was short, then I wouldn't be complaining, but the map length is around the end time of 10 minutes, which is insane for a level where this is the background music. Nothing even really happens except for some text, images, and creepy Sonic.Back appearances. Well, at least that's what I experienced before I died far into the level for the third time and gave up. Yep, I gave up, just like last time, because this game is so infuriating that I just could not complete it. I'm sorry, but Knuckles' level is the massive anvil on the camel's slightly weakened back. Fortunately, several non-annoying YouTubers have made videos on this game which are completely silent, so I'm going to borrow their footage to finish this video. Luckily, it seems I barely missed much as you eventually make it to this section and this happens. Now, I cut the screamer from this because of the flashiness and loudness of it, so if you want the true terror experience, go watch Iwaz's video. And that is the end of the video. If there weren't 2 other endings that you can achieve. Yep, there are more endings to this game, and because it's content, let's cover them. Obviously, I didn't go back into the game just to get secret endings to this game, which I quite honestly don't like, so I'm going to borrow another YouTuber's footage, this time being from Xenobuster. The second ending involves the cart cutscene from earlier. Instead of going into the section that starts the underground zone death, you instead have to fall off this cliff. This then takes you to Black Mushroom Zone, which is basically a shorter, somewhat better, and weirder version of Knuckles' zone. Once you get to this area, this happens. Then, surprisingly, Flying Battery Zone starts with Knuckles playing through it. You can take a guess if it's just like Black Mushroom but with Knuckles. After getting to the end of the level, this cutscene happens. A boss fight occurs with Sonic.Back, which is honestly one of the coolest things this game has done so far, which is not saying much, as this boss fight is, like everything else in this game, incredibly long and incredibly hard. Once you defeat him, this happens. Great! What an amazing, ambiguous ending for this game. Which I think implies that Sonic.Back is Tails, which does explain somewhat why Knuckles appeared instead of Tails after Sonic died. The third ending is achieved by going down this section, which is in an area where what I'd like to dub the bad ending occurs. This is a very stupid idea, as there was no way anyone would have known to go down this particular path. After running to the left and the right for a combined total of 44 seconds, this cutscene happens. Amazing! Another ambiguous ending, which for some reason has Robotnik? Unless there's some weird secret lore when I'm not understanding here, this is a pretty terrible ending. The route to get to it is weird, the payoff isn't worth it, and guess what? Tails is still missing, which I think validates my theory that it was Tails who was torturing them. Anyways, that's the end of the game, and overall this game is pretty bad. Long levels, pointless endings, secret rings that do nothing, weird text that does nothing, and worst of all, it's not even trying to be a lost Sonic 2 prototype. But, on the positives, there was definitely talent put behind this game, and some of the game was interesting. But with all of these flaws, and even more that I'm not even going to mention for the sake of time, I have to give this game a 5 out of 10. And that's the video. Bye.